Everyone, so the final episode of Prehistoric Planet 2 is out right now. That is episode 5, titled North America. And it starts off with a group of Alamosauruses, and you have the elder behind them, but the elder is slowly dying. And, it's young offspring, not offspring, they're kind of, grown adults, or at least adults at this point. Teenagers maybe even. They continue on while this Alamosaurus rests for its final time, and it kind of just lays down, and that is the end of its journey. But that brings in many other predators such as troodontids, T-Rex. But yeah, the troodontids are the first ones to arrive. They kind of try to scavenge everything, but they don't have the teeth to break through the thick skin of Alamosaurus, so they have to wait for something to get there, and that something is the T-Rex. The T-Rex is pretty angry that the troodontids are there, so it tries to snap at them every now and then. It doesn't get any of them, but instead I think T-Rex leaves a bit of meat behind, and the troodontid picks it up, so luckily for them. But I believe the troodontids don't last long because the T-Rex does scare them off, and once it does, they've had their tiny little scrap of a meal, and then they just move on, I guess. But this eventually leads to the confrontation between the T-Rex and the Quetzalcoatlus. Now, this fight doesn't necessarily end in a brutal manner, but there is definitely a loser. And I would say it was a bit of an unfair fight, because there wasn't just one Quetzalcoatlus, but it brought its friend in for help. So T-Rex was actually in a bit of trouble. I think T-Rex would have stood way more of a chance had it just been the one Quetzalcoatlus it was against. But no, the Quetzalcoatlus decided to bring in its friend to, try steal the Alamosaurus kill off of T-Rex. So that was a bit unfortunate for T-Rex. But the king has been dethroned for today, I guess. But yeah, here are the two Quetzals. But then after that, we do move on. That's kind of the last we see of it. I'll show you more clips of it throughout the video, and you'll see the T-Rex losing. But yeah, so just keep watching through the video. I'll show you after every picture I do, there'll be a little clip of the, confrontation. But that was it for the episode. Next up, we move on to this mosasaur, and it actually hunts ammonites. So what it does is it'll chase the ammonites. It'll propel itself with its tail, whilst the ammonites propel themselves with their little tentacle thingies. And then the mosasaur, it grabs onto their shells, cracks it, and it removes the air, so they sink to the bottom and they can't swim at all. And yeah, that is pretty much that scene. I feel like we got enough mosasaurs after Ocean, so was pretty happy to move on to the Stygianida, which is a prehistoric duck relative, I do believe, which was, I do reckon I enjoy the mosasaur more, but it was kind of what else appeared in this scene that made it good. So, but basically the Stygianida, they're not always in this area, this little, it was kind of like an ocean sort of area. Not really. There was rocks around. Maybe it was a big pool. But I believe they were all here for flies, basically. There was just a bunch of flies to catch. But yes, Stygianida were not the only creatures there that wanted to catch flies. As Pectinodon, which I believe is... because Troodon is not a valid genus anymore, so I believe that is what it's meant to be, but it's called Pectinodon now. So we see an adult here with its offspring, and the offspring are just adorable. But I do actually really like the colorings of the adult, so that was super cool to see. But yeah, basically they run along the sandy, thing next to the pool sort of area, and they just catch up flies that are, buzzing close to the edge of the water. They just catch them up in their mouth. It's pretty cool to see. And then the adult actually goes after the Stygianida, hunts them down, so it can get a big kill for its offspring. But after that, we do move on to Triceratops. We find them in a sort of mating season where all of the males, they're rivaling against each other. They're using their horns to kind of prove who's stronger to the females. And I don't know, there's some babies around, so I guess they're probably like a year old or something. Maybe it's been a year since last mating season. Actually, no, because you have to wait for the egg to hatch and all that. So I don't know how old the babies are, but they're there, and females come in and all that, and the males try to one up each other to try and get that Triceratops female to get with them, I guess. But yeah, I believe that leads us on to the last act of the show, which brings out the Ornithomimus and the Nucosaurus. So I feel like they kind of should have saved the T-Rex versus Quetzalcoatlus till the end. I feel like that was the more grand thing of this episode. But I do believe the Nucosaurus was beautiful, and especially what we see at the end. I'm going to save for the end of the video, but what we see at the end was super adorable. I think that kind of hints at what I'm getting at. But I'm going to give all the episodes a rating. So, or not a rating, a ranking of which I think's best to worst. So I'm going to say episode 3 is my favorite, definitely. Like the ending, the way we see Tyrannosaurus versus Edmontosaurus. I believe that's one of the first times in paleo media we have seen Tyrannosaurs, taking on Edmontosauruses in that large of accuracy, But yeah, as I was talking about, here are the baby Nanuqsauruses to end the episode, so that was extremely adorable. But but basically what the Nanuqsaurus, it hunts down the Ornithomimus and brings it back to the babies for them to feed on. But as I was saying, with the rankings, my second favorite would have to be episode 1, right? With the Simasukas. I think that's the highlight of the episode. Everyone loves the Simasukas right now. It did the booty shake. It fended off all of its species from the Majungasaurus, even though it was the littlest of things, but it was adorable to watch, honestly. Then I'd say my third favorite episode. Ooh, it's tough between Badlands and this episode. I'd say this episode just because Tyrannosaurus Rex featured in it, and I wouldn't say, because I'm not the biggest of T-Rex fanboys, but I do understand the love for Tyrannosaurus Rex. It is just an amazing creature. So yeah, I do love T-Rex. I do. But even if it's not my favorite dinosaur, I still love it and appreciate it a lot. But yeah, then I would rank episode 2, then episode 4. Anyway, I'll see you later. Bye, everyone.
Some fights just aren't worth the risk.